Okay, go.
No, you turned on video so you can hear it. What? He's recording it.
No, I'm not. Just go.
Just go, Chris. Just go. I was waking up ever so slowly. You're doing it terribly. Come on. Do it right. Come on. Something was weighing me down. I didn't know what. I raised my hands up to my face and rubbed my eyes for a moment. I was finally able to crack them open, and when I did, I found Applejack right on top of me. She had a huge grin on her face. AJ, what is going on? Am I having one of those dreams again? Applejack chuckled. Oh, you have dreams about me, Cole? My mind isn't with me in the mornings. I couldn't tell you up from down, left to right, so I just kind of roll with anything and everything. Almost every night lately. That's awful sweet of you, Cole. I think you deserve a treat. A treat? I raised my hands to my eyes again, gave them a good long rub. I was just now starting to realize that I was awake, but my mind wasn't processing the situation at all. That's right. Applejack then pressed her lips firmly into mine, making my eyes almost bug out of my head. I was definitely awake now. Applejack must have had a sexy dream herself, because she was not holding anything back. She stuck her tongue in my mouth almost immediately. She twirled it around and moaned gently. It was too early for this. My self-control was not what someone would call strong. When I've just woken up, I grabbed AJ and spun her onto her back. I was now on top of her. Applejack had a shocked look on her face, but it quickly disappeared as I continued where she left off. We kissed for several minutes, but I just wanted to do so much more. I started kissing her neck and around her shoulders. I made my way down her chest and then her stomach. I kept slowly kissing her lower and lower. Cole! Applejack could tell where this was going. She was biting on her hoof, trying to keep herself from moaning too loudly. Her face was red, and she was having a hard time looking at me. I kissed her belly a couple more times before lifting up and looking at her. I love you, Applejack. I doubt we have time to do all I would like, but you're the one that deserves a treat. Don't worry, I may actually enjoy this more than you. I kissed her gently, and again worked my way south. She was moaning and letting out small whimpers as I got closer and closer to her love. I spread her legs out of the way and took a long, hard look at it. It was the same orange as the rest of her, but it was clearly excited. The lips were naturally spreading apart. I could see glimpses of pink in between her petals. I leaned forward and took in deep breaths. I would slowly exhale from deep within my lungs directly into her. I was teasing her. I'd always wanted to try my hand at it. And for whatever reason, the ceiling burned. Applejack was starting to pant heavily. I could hear her saying my name softly. I peeked up to find her holding her face with her hooves. I smiled as I could see the red from her face so easily. I started kissing all around her lips. I would gently brush across them, moving side to side. I would go back to breathing on them, and then move on to kissing along her inner thighs again. Applejack was whimpering like a little filly now. But please, Cole, don't tease me like this. I can't take it. It is driving me crazy. Applejack was starting to lose control of her volume. I was worried we may get caught, and excited by how much I was making Applejack want it. I leaned all the way back up to Applejack's face and deeply kissed her once more. She wrapped her hooves around me, and we kissed harder and slobbier than we ever had. Applejack was starting to hump the air as the burning inside her grew. She broke the kiss and begged me to finish. We weren't going to have full-blown sex here, and that thought just made my southern regions burn in discomfort. I was more than happy to make Applejack finish, though. I kissed her quickly once more and returned between her legs. Her lips were starting to turn a light red, and Applejack Applejack kept trying to hump my face as I would lean down, and then lean up quickly. I couldn't help myself. I just loved teasing her like this. I could see Applejack start to lose her patience as she put her hooves on the back of my head. You started this call? Now you're gonna finish it. She then forced my head down, sticking my face right into her love. She moaned as my lips were now firmly planted upon hers. I smiled as the smell rushed up into me. It was a sweet but very earthly smell. It made my mind foggy and my body wanted more. In just a few seconds of kissing her lips, the smell alone drove me into a frenzy. I would lick all around them, and then up and down the slit. I would then gently nibble each lip in turn. I could see her clitoris slowly waking up inside. It looked like a cute little bean. The smell was getting stronger and stronger. My face was getting soaked in her juices. The pressure that had built up in my own loins was incredible at this point. I then started sticking my tongue inside. Applejack was biting on the bed sheets, intently trying not to scream out. She was humping my face vigorously now. I slid my hands onto her flank and forced my face in as deep as I could. I then stuck my tongue in as far as it would go and began licking and caressing every inch of Applejack I could get to. I would pull up and then suck on her clitoris for a few seconds before returning to pleasuring her insides. I could feel the muscles contract. In a few more minutes of this, Applejack came. She came so hard that she arched her back, and with her love, and actually started to lift my head up. She let go of the sheets, and I was worried she may scream out. All I could hear, though, was a very airy scream, the kind of scream you would let out if all the air in your body had been knocked out of you. The orgasm went on for nearly 30 seconds before she calmed down and fell back onto the bed. Applejack and I were covered in sweat. My face and upper body were drenched in her juices. My own erection was so hard at the moment that it had long since burst out from the top of my boxers. I could feel it twitching in excitement as we both wanted more of Applejack. I leaned up and got a good look at Applejack's face. Her tongue was lolling out the side of her mouth. She had a huge dopey grin on her face. Her eyes were rolled up into her head some, but they weren't closed. She was panting heavily and didn't seem to be in her right mind. I rubbed her lips gently with one hand, and used the other hand to gently rub her cheek. The heat coming off of her petals was incredible. It felt like if I were to penetrate her, that my own manhood would melt. I continued to rub her love gently, getting a lot of her love juices all over my hand. My erection was burning so badly at this point, I just wanted to mount her and have my way with her. Applejack was starting to come to, and she nearly yelped as she saw how hard I had become. She looked up at me, and then motioned me to lean in closer. When I was close enough, she whispered in my ear, "Big Mac is working the apple cart, and Apple Bloom is at school." I lost it. I grabbed her face and forced my tongue inside. I was moaning and groaning like a fool as I felt up every inch of her mouth. Applejack was making just as much noise as I was. She ended up pushing me away and made me look at her. I want to return the favor. Lay down, Cole." My face lit up, and I took Applejack's place on the bed. I did lean up against the backboard a bit. I wanted to see Applejack work. Applejack pulled my boxers down a little. My erection went straight up, hitting her in the face. She giggled at this and began to nuzzle it. I knew right away she was going to tease me much like I did her. Let her just lay back and enjoy it. She rubbed her cheek against it. She would breathe right on the tip, making it twitch every time. She could press it against her body and slowly move up and down. The friction from her coat could have gotten the job done, but she was being too careful. I could literally feel myself turning blue. It was hurting like you wouldn't believe. Applejack took note of this and began playing with me. She would bat them around a bit, or pick one up and roll it around on her hoof. She kept looking back at me with a devilish smile. She knew she was tormenting me, but she was going to get me back for earlier. I resigned myself to my fate. It wasn't that hard. She took pity on me and began slowly licking up and down my shaft. Her tongue was cool compared to the heat coming off of me. It was a very welcome feeling. I could feel every single line in her tongue and every drop of saliva as she would start at the base and work her way up to the tip. After several trips up and down, she gently started to kiss the tip before opening her mouth wide. The wider her mouth got, the wider my eyes got. I desperately wanted to put my hands on the back of her head and just force it all the way inside. I would never do that though. This seems like a good time to mention that spell Twilight used to increase my size. Did its job by all means. I was honestly a little scared that I wouldn't fit anywhere. I do not want to go through a reduction spell. I have a feeling that would hurt more. Thankfully, Applejack was able to take several inches into her mouth. It was a magical feeling. She would suck on the tip while rubbing my member's underside with her tongue. She popped it out of her mouth and gasped for air. She then stuck her tongue out and forced it back inside. She was able to suck on it all the harder now. It was making my whole body twitch with every passing second. I don't know if Applejack had ever done this before, but right now, I didn't care. She was my first in a lot of things, and that was all I needed to be happy. I could feel myself getting closer and closer to release. I'd always been told that you're supposed to say something to the lady, so between my gasps of pleasure, I managed to force out the warning. Applejack smiled while still filleting me. She popped it out and gave it one more quick kiss. She then crawled on top of me and stuck her flank right in my face. The heat coming off of her lips was even stronger now. The sight alone was enough to make me finish. My eyes forced shut, and I came. It was unbelievable. The first wave Applejack took in stride, but it kept coming. She had to pop it out of her mouth again, and it went everywhere. Applejack couldn't control it, but she did her best to contain it. After a few moments of this, it finally stopped. I was panting like I had just run a marathon, and Applejack was both panting and choking slightly at all the cum that went inside her. I was worried that I had upset Applejack, but she wiped away the excess and gave me a big smile. Y'all must have been really backed up. Not really, AJ. You're just that good. We smiled at each other. Why don't you jump in the shower, AJ? I'll get this cleaned up. Applejack thought about it for a moment. How about we get this cleaned up, then we both jump in the shower? I smiled and I kissed her. I had always thought that I wouldn't want to kiss a woman that had just gone down on me. It just seemed gross, but Applejack never looked more beautiful. It took us a fair hour to get all the walls and floors cleaned off, get the bedding in the washer. They have those, and thankfully none had gotten into the mattress. We had worked this entire time covered in each other's love juices. I, for one, didn't mind, but I think Applejack was a bit uncomfortable being so sticky. When we finished, we made our way into the bathroom. I turned on the shower and got in first. Applejack climbed in and rested back on my stomach. As the water was coming down on us, we began playing with each other again. I reached forward and started fingering her gently. As I was doing this, my erection started getting bigger and bigger. Once it was big enough to flop back onto Applejack's stomach, she began rubbing it with her hooves. We were there to take a bath. We were there to take a bath, so I grabbed a washcloth and began cleaning Applejack all over. I started with her neck and worked her shoulders and her hooves. I cleaned her flanks and all around her love. When I cleaned all I could in this position, I rolled over so we were looking at each other. I began cleaning her back and around her tail. She climbed up me a little, and we began kissing as I cleaned her. She was so warm and soft, the water was making her slippery as well. I reached down and grabbed her flanks in order to keep her from sliding down. I continued to finger her as I felt myself getting hornier and hornier. Applejack leaned back and began washing me off as well. There's a lot more of me to clean, but it only took about 10 minutes. We were both squeaky clean. We gave each other sultry looks. I was fully erect at this point, and Applejack knew it. She brought herself up right next to my ear and whispered, "I want you to do me, Cole." How much longer? Oh, fuck. A lot.
That's enough, Chris. That's enough. I've gotten all I need.